Clermont, Florida is one of the most desirable spots in Central Florida, but as you know, just like many of the markets around Orlando, everything is changing. And if you own a home here now, or if you're considering buying one in the Clermont area further into 2024 or even into 2025, you need to catch this latest update. And as always, as we dive in the update, dive down below, smash the thumbs up. It helped the channel out, and I greatly appreciate you for doing it. All right, the first graph we're gonna look at is closed sales. You can see over here on the far right edge that we are showing the most current data. This has just been released by the Florida Association of Realtors. Now take a look at recent history, okay? So right here where you see my cursor, this is 2018, 2019, going into the pandemic era. Look at where most of our transaction volume, this is the closings month after month. Most of the time, the graph really spent time between 100 and 125 units any given month. You can see it. We had obviously some really big spikes up towards 150 units. You can see over history that most of the time, if you kind of cut a line down the middle, you're at 125 units. But carry that line out here over 2023 and in 2024. You can see down here that we're not even getting to the 100 unit mark. So most of the volume in Clermont right now is between 75 and 100 units, and that is not good. Again, we just still see continued sign that the market is frozen. There's not a lot of transaction volume. And let's see what that is doing to the amount of available inventory for sale right now in this particular market. You saw a moment ago in August, there were 72 closings in the entire month for this particular area, but look how many homes are for sale. 292 units, almost 300 units, except for one spike back here in 2019. Look at this. You have to go all the way back to 2017 where you see a consistent level this high as it presently is. And for Clermont, you can see it's really been going up unabated since middle of last year, 2023. It's just been going straight vertical. Now I pulled up for you new listings because the other question is, well, we're not closing them and active inventory is really high. It's much higher than it has been at any point for several years. Is there just a deluge of sellers throwing inventory in the market? And you can obviously see that that's not the case. So back in history, you were constantly bringing 100 to 150 units to the market every single month. You can see that we're barely over 100 units for any given month this year. We've not come anywhere near 150 listings in a single month, hitting the market for quite a while. Down here in the bottom, you can see that there were 13.6% more listings than a year prior hitting the market. So last month it was up, but July was down almost 18%. In June it was down almost 12%. May was up 16%. If you kind of balance the entire year from January till now, most of Clermont has not seen a significant amount of listings coming to the market, not a big jump. It's not like, you know, this year in 24, everybody got an inch just throwing their house in the market. That is not the case. If you break everything down and just look at the numbers across the board, it's really very similar to 2023. And both of these 2 years are not at all banner years for amount of listings coming to the market. Yet you'll remember active inventory is pushing numbers not seen in 7 years, going back to 2017. Folks, I'm going to digress for a moment and show you the 30-year interest rate. Look at this. This is 7.34%. When was this? End of May, the May that just passed us. Look at what happened to the interest rates after that point. They've consistently fallen. They came below 7% and they've gone pretty much down off a cliff down to around 6.25%, 6.3%. Again, for the 30-year mortgage average rate for someone with good credit. So let's pull up our pendings for Clermont, okay? Because this right here is a leading indicator that says, you know what? As a result of lower interest rates, we can now expect the market to reignite and absorb some of this active inventory. And ultimately, if you're a home seller in Clermont right now, you are praying because you were hoping that this interest rate cut that was coming up and that just passed us would absolutely reignite and hopefully help these houses sell. We all would like to see more business out of the market. But look at this. This is real-time data because when the Federal Reserve was going to reduce interest rates middle of September for the Federal Reserve central banking rate, the market behind the 30-year mortgage had already priced in the rate cut. So all of the agents that are on social media and all of the home sellers that were hoping something magical would happen, that when Jerome Powell comes out and reduce interest rates, we can see right here that we are on a 3-month trend where we barely got above 100 pendings in a single month. It did absolutely nothing to impact how much demand is happening from the buyer side of the equation. So you can see down here in August, we posted a $467,000 price, which is 0.5% below last year. July was -3% to last year, and then we were up June, negative in May. I took moving season, which is April, May, and June for 2023, and I averaged moving season for the 3 months that we just passed. Last year, moving season average was a median sell price of $483,000. This year, moving season was down with an average of $473,000. So again, just taking a 3-month rolling average, we can see that Clermont's price was down about 2.5% against moving season a year ago. Now, my friends, this chart matters more than probably any other chart I've shown you so far. This is called months of supply. This is a quick measure of how fast all the homes in Clermont would sell for if you stop listing new ones, based on how fast they're selling on a monthly basis. This is the most accurate picture of supply and demand of any housing market's health that you can take on a short sample. Take a look at what's happened. At January of 2024, beginning of this year, we started at a 2.1 month of supply, meaning if you stop listing new homes, knowing more are coming, you would sell everything off in just 2 months. 8 months later, it has gone straight vertical to where August posted a 3.7 month of supply. Now, for sake of comparison, I've added this chart, same exact one, month of supply, going all the way back left side, January of 2012. Now, January 2012, if you lived in this marketplace, you know what was happening. There was massive amount of short sales, bank-owned REOs that were still being cleaned up out of the market. And up here, you're going to see a 7-month supply. What was going on with home prices back then, by the way? You know, they were much lower and they were taking a beating. So in the theme of history, you can see that 3.7 is not as bad as it was in pandemic era. And I would contend that if you see this go up around 5 to 6 months of supply, you will start to see a good reversal in prices, most in any market in Central Florida. And you'd say, well, why is that the case, Jared? Well, look at it. 3.7 months. You have to go all the way back here sometime in February of 2015. Barack Obama was president back then. Look at this. You can see how after the 2008 crash took place, once all of that inventory got settled and things became normalized through 17, 18, 19, most of the economy here is used to around 2.5 to 3 months of supply, not more. So right now, when you look at the inventory levels and how slow they are selling, because now you have a situation where there's not like a lack of choice. You go to Clermont and you have 300 homes for sale. These are numbers that aren't seen, again, for several years running. And what do we need to know about as we head into the fall? Well, I'm going to make some keen predictions here in a minute. Let me show you a couple more data points. I'm going to come back to what I think is going to happen to price, inventory, and all those other things based on the history of this particular market. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you know that I'm going to pull up a couple different things. I'm going to show you the overvalued percentages just based on the data. I'm going to also show you some things like what's the market trend for these markets? Is it price down? Is it price up? Let's take a look at that really fast. Now, I have the luxury of obviously showing you a few other markets. You can see Montverde is 43. It's actually more balanced. It's a buyer's market, but it's more towards the middle. 50 is dead even between buyer and seller. You can also see that Clermont 34711, the main north market here, shows a 43, which is high. I'm going to tell you why that's deceptively high. Now, just below, going south on 27, which includes the north part going towards Wellness Way, and all the way down towards the Four Corners area, it's showing a 34. Now, you're going to say, Jared, I just thought you showed me high months of supply, and there's all this price change from one summer to the next, and all this for the main part of 34711. Why is it a 43? Well, the number for this price forecast comes from recent appreciation, days on market time, how much the mortgage rates are in a given marketplace, the inventory, and how many price cuts are taking place against the history of that market, okay? So, for instance, if I show you the price cut percentages throughout Clermont, it's mostly 30 to 35%. Okay, of all the listings have experienced a price cut. That's a high number for most any market where 1 out of 3 listings available actually have already undergone a price cut in order to try and sell. But for this little used to be rural market, and I say that, and people that are local to that market know I'm true, they go, I wish it were as rural as it used to be. It's not anymore. But the point is, it used to be. So you're running data against 2015 and 2016 and 2017 when 15,000 less people moved here. So ultimately, you have to understand that in the history of this market, when averaging it, a lot of the statistics that I just shared with you, such as price cut percentages, well, price cuts have always been relatively high in Clermont in 17, 2018, and 19. So the number is going to be a little skewed here. But the reality is, you need to understand, it is shifting. Now take 34714 for a second. This is the southern market, okay? This is going down the 27 towards 192. Look at how it's plummeted into buyer market territory, showing a 34. And the inventory, if you look at the inventory, they both are going straight north. The reality is these numbers look far worse than history. Why? Because the population in the south part of Clermont doubled in like 4 years. There's way more listings to be put on the market. So the numbers are obviously going to make this one look much like a worse buyer's market. When you compare the south to the north and take a look at the data piece by piece, they're both suffering from the same thing. It's less pendings, less buyers putting homes under contract, more unsold inventory, not necessarily sellers burying the market, but that's what's taking place. Now, the next chart we're looking at is the ratio of the overvalued part of the marketplace. So up here in the north, 34715, it's showing 21.6% overvalued. 3471 showing 25.3% overvalued. In the south is showing 16% overvalued. And I know this particular metric we have a lot of flare up in the comments. All this is pulling the income level for this zip code, showing the census data for what people actually make in terms of what homes cost. Now you would say, Jared, where does the percentage come from? It comes from running the numbers of the long-term averages for this market. How much do people actually make and how much they actually spend on housing in the long run? And this is what we get. Now let me show you one more thing and then we'll make some predictions. This, my friends, is the list price, starting price versus a year ago. Now, this is a fascinating leading indicator because if people are bringing property into the market beneath what they were asking a year ago, okay? Meaning sellers last year were asking $300,000. Now, the exact same month a year later, the houses coming to the market are $50,000 more, then theoretically, that's a leading indicator saying homes are most likely going up, that they're eventually going to negotiate a couple percentage points off of those newfound higher asking prices. But take a look at this. You're going to notice if you see my coverage, there's a lot of dipping in the asking price against last year, which is a concerning sign. All it tells us, you say, Jared, people can just ask anything they want, can't they? Well, no, this is relatively steadily a +0 percentage, okay? In history, it's always 3, 4, 5% over the prior year. It's rarely ever negative. Any market, anywhere, it's uncommon that anytime you go a year past in real estate that the asking prices actually dip. Why? Because we already know. Are most people aggressive with their asking price? Are they conservative? Does everybody leave money on the table at the start? No. So for people to actually ask less shows us with the mentality of the seller and the asking price being set with the broker. They're looking around and they're seeing signs of trouble in their mind that the demand is off. So you can see 34715 up here, we can see the asking prices are down 5.28%. In 34711, they're down 0.6%. Now granted, -5 is a big drop, okay? That is a sign that there is a little slack in the line in 34715. 3471 holding very steady. There have been some dips, a couple percentage points below negative over the past 12 months, but overall it's been very positive. And then 34714, which is the more affordable part of the marketplace, -3.1. You can see Big Blue Winter Garden over here, who's been posting -9, -10. Right now it's pushing a -11%. And why? It's about affordability. It's about that some of these prices, the buyers in these markets are just walking from. All right, so you're looking to buy in Clermont and you're trying to understand exactly what's coming into the fall. So here's the deal. Every single year, there is a down cycle of active inventory in the Clermont area. So as we go into the fall season, we typically see our active inventory, like clockwork, start to plummet after July. That means there's going to be a pullback. Now, for whatever reason, Okay. We have to understand that there's something going on in the economy that we feel like hasn't unfolded yet. I mean, a lot of people describe this in different ways. Some people are sitting there saying, after the election, I think something's going to change. And that means a variety of things to people. But I think the larger narrative is that there's something happening in the economy, and we don't know what that is going to look like. So you have to understand that when people experience job losses, if we see unemployment get worse, which is candidly the reason why the interest rates were just cut, is that our central bank made a priority. The Federal Reserve made a priority to preserve the job market. Now, why would they do that? Well, they obviously didn't tackle inflation. So if they're concerned that more people are going to lose their jobs, then there's a bigger reason why we right now are seeing people hold off on their home purchases, even though interest rates are 1.25% down. Okay. So here's the thing. If we see a marketplace like we did in 2022, which means if we see more people putting homes on the market and we don't see inventory collapse after the summer season is over, like it historically does, if it remains high or even continues to grow further, then my friends, you are going to put some values under contract in December. What kind of values? Just an estimation, 8, 9, 10, 12, possibly 14% below the median price of the peak of 2024. Okay. So as an example, we had a peak in 2024, around 480, 490 was the number for moving season. We could see our median price again dip into the low 400s coming into January. And it will be a moment in time. There will be a section of the market that will sell off at a good discount. And then again, I don't know what will happen after that. I don't know if February and March and all that's going to get insane. But I will tell you that if you're watching and you're paying attention to some of these markets, you're going to have some very good opportunities to negotiate some values, particularly in the months ahead. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines and you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Clermont area right now, make sure you put the best on your side when it comes to navigating this market. Personally, I have over 22 years of experience in the real estate market, nearly 4,000 real estate transactions. My team combined has somewhere around 35, 40 years of experience, and we're here to make sure you buy, sell, or invest the right way the first time. That's it for today's update. We'll see you on the next one.